Madam Chair.
Thank you. And we usually take a short break, but we have only been in session for about 45 minutes. So unless somebody has a yearning, burning desire to take a break, we're going to just keep on keeping on, and we'll call the full. Is that okay with my fellow board members? Except for my troublemaker here. So I will call the full board to order. And we've already asked you to silence your cell phone. So Dr. Markham, would you welcome the group, please, ma'am?
Good morning again. Good morning to the board, all my friends in higher ed, and our guests today. We are so pleased to welcome everyone back to ADHE for the first time in quite some time. I do want to reiterate the appreciation that we all feel to our campuses who have hosted us over the past year and a half. It was such a privilege to get to see firsthand the good work that you're all doing across the state, and we really enjoyed the hospitality. So thank you again for that. Before we move into the action items, I feel like we need to introduce our board to you as well. You've all met them through the committee meeting this morning, but we have a full board.
Yes,
everyone's here. Maybe the first time ever. Yeah. So of course our Madam Chair, Cheryl Johnson, our Vice Chair, Jim Carr. Yes.
City, where I'm from El Dorado, and Jim is from Searcy.
Searcy, yes. Dr. Michael Stanton, Conway. No, you're going to make me guess because I didn't write this down. Okay. Dr. Charles Allen, City.
Sorry, Little Rock.
Little Rock.
Sorry.
Mr. Kevin Anderson.
Rogers.
Rogers, very good. Mr. Al Brodell.
Jonesboro.
Dr. Olin Cook. Where do you live, Dr. Cook?
All over.
Russellville. Okay, everywhere. Mr. Chris Gillum.
Magnolia.
Ms. Lori Griffin.
Van Buren / Fort Smith.
Mr. Greg Revels.
Outskirts of Gillum.
Just up the road.
And Mr. Sam Seacard.
Fort Smith.
So welcome, and that is our board. We have a lengthy agenda to work through today, and as always, your efforts to prepare for this meeting and your discussion are very commendable. We appreciate your advice and your counsel. It's very important to me and to the staff and to the state. By way of introductions, I would also like to ask my staff to stand. ADHE staff, if you would please stand in recognition of your work as well, leading to this meeting and every day for our students and our institutions. I have the great fortune to work and operate alongside a very intelligent, capable, and efficient group of professionals, so I appreciate all that you do.
Oh, I want to give them a hand.
Please. They all do a lot with very little, and they make us look very good in the meantime. So with that, welcome, and I'll turn the agenda back over to Madam Chair.
Thank you, Dr. Markham. You have the minutes in your book, the minutes of the October 26, 2017 meeting. Are there any questions, comments, changes to the minutes?
I move we approve it.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Nicole, do we need to do a board poll on that question? No, ma'am. Okay. All right, then we'll move on to the report of the nominating committee, and I served as chair of the nominating committee, and I was assisted by our new board member, Al Brodell, and Greg Revels, and we are pleased to nominate as chair next year, Dr. Charles Allen, as vice chair, Dr. Jim Carr, and as secretary, Sam Seacard. Do I hear a motion? Or I guess that is the motion, isn't it? Do I hear a second? Second from from Michael Stanton. All in favor? All opposed? Thank you. And I have invitations out for committee chairs, and we'll report those to you as soon as we have yeses from both, which I hope we have. Okay. Action item number 3, the State Board of Higher Education Foundation, the election of the supervisory committee. Dr. Markham, would you explain the Foundation Advisory Committee just very briefly?
The Foundation Advisory Committee, they control all of the thousands and thousands of dollars that we have in our foundation fund. So they're responsible for making decisions on how that money is to be spent.
And seriously, the balance is what, $1,200 or so, something like that? Yeah. That money's used, for example, when the higher ed department moved into this building, I think that the staff used some of those monies to frame photographs and such as that. So they're used for some minor expenses. So do I hear a motion to approve President Chris Gillum, Vice President Lori Griffin, and Secretary Treasurer Dr. Olin Cook as the second? All in favor? All opposed? Dr. Markham, you are back up.
Okay, agenda item number 4. It's reimbursement for the expenses incurred for coordinating board members in relation to the responsibilities for the board and ICAC. So this agenda item authorizes members of the coordinating board and ICAC to receive reimbursement for their travels for official board duties. We ask that the board approve this agenda item.
Always seems a bit on the shady side to me, but are there any questions?
I move we approve.
Okay, have a second.
I second.
Mr. Revels is ready to get out of here. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Number 5, Dr. Markham.
Okay, well, my detailed report of my past quarter's travels is found in your agenda book, but I want to tell you a little bit about the staffing changes at the department. We've had a couple of staff members exit since we've last met. Felicia Davis left us. She is now at CARC, I believe, and she was an IT senior project manager. My deputy director left me for Pulaski Tech. This is going in the wrong direction. I normally am stealing from the colleges, but now they're stealing from me. So she left us in December. Jake Eddington also left. He is now in private industry for a technology company. And Kristen Blaine, our finance manager, left. Her last day was last week, and she is now at Game and Fish. So she got the position, I believe, as assistant controller at Game and Fish. So it was a good move for her as well. We've added some new faces. You didn't get to meet them today, but by the next meeting, they'll all be present and giving reports. Nick Fuller is the deputy director. He began just after the Christmas break. And he comes to us from the Department of Finance and Administration. So he's very knowledgeable finance director for us. Dr. Jesse Walker will be here at the end of the month as our new CAO. So he's moving into the position vacated by Dr. Strecker earlier in the fall. And he's coming to us from Jackson State. He also was at Pine Bluff for quite some time. So he's coming back to Arkansas to work with us here at the department. And Mr. David Jones, he also will begin at the end of the month, and he will be our new database administrator for our student information system. So we're looking forward to having him as well. Institutional leadership changes. We've had 2 retirements. Dr. Coy Grace had been at East Arkansas Community College for 19 years, and he is recently retired. And Dr. Steve Hildebrand was at CARC since 2011, and he's retired as well. So moving into those positions, Dr. Kathy Klein is now at East Arkansas Community College. Dr. Klein, would you stand? I need to see your face.
Can't. Where is she?
Welcome. And Dr. Stephen Bloomberg is the new president at Southeast Arkansas College. Are you here today, Dr. Bloomberg? I haven't met him either. So he is new to our group. Wanted to put a couple of events on your not necessarily on your calendar, but in your mind. We have a couple of things coming up next week, the week after, I guess. I will be traveling to Boulder with some of the faculty members at UAPB to give a presentation on the Project Pipeline Repair Program that we received a SHIO grant for that. It's been about a year in implementation. And they are very happy with the work that's being done at UAPB. SHIO is looking at Arkansas as a model for expanding this program to additional states. So we're excited about the opportunity to showcase what they're doing at UAPB to a broader audience. I'll be also going back to Boulder in March for a SHIO Executive Committee meeting. I've been named to their Executive Council. and that's state higher education executive officer. So it's 50 of me in a room, if you can believe that. In April, I'll be joining faculty and administrators at the Higher Learning Commission from University of Arkansas Fort Smith. We were selected to give a presentation on the workforce grants that we do through the Department of Higher Ed, and they received at UAFS. We're still working out the details. We did not have a board retreat last summer, but it's time for us to do that again. So I'm shooting for June to have a board retreat for all of our members. We have a vacancy right now that we've not yet had an appointee fill. Unfortunately, Cheryl Johnson's term is coming to an end, so we'll have a couple of new board members by that time. So I would like to have a retreat for you, do some more training, have some guest speakers, and we're thinking Hot Springs may be the location for that. So keep that on your calendar, and I'll be asking you for your availability during that time. And that's my report.
That's it? All right. We'll move along then to item number 6, and Dr. Markham will present a review of the audit, and we will
Okay.
vote through the review.
The full audit report can be found in your information packets, and I'm happy to answer any questions about that. In accordance with Statute 10.4.418, we will report the 2017 audit findings, comments, and recommendations to the Higher Ed Coordinating Board. As a result of the occurrences described in the findings, internal controls have been put in place, and we have complied with all recommendations that the audit revealed. So I'm happy to answer any questions about that.
Any questions? Do I hear a motion to approve the review of the audit?
So moved.
You beat you to it. Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, we'll move on to agenda item number 7. Ms. Hazelwood?
Good morning.
Good morning.
I have the annual report of enrollment for you today. I have a few announcements first. We had a new private institution join us this year. The Arkansas Colleges of Health Education's flagship college of osteopathic medicine enrolled 162 students this fall. This institution is located in Fort Smith. You'll notice in the detailed information of the attachments that the abbreviation is ACHE. Arkansas State University enrolled its first class of 214 students at its Querétaro campus in Mexico. Data reporting requirements are being worked out with ASU staff. Attachments that I referenced just a minute ago will be uploaded to the ADHE website, hopefully by close of business Monday, and I'll be sure that Nicole sends you an email to the link as soon as those are available. This first slide gives you an overall fall enrollment trend chart. As you can see, our enrollment decline continues. We had a one-year enrollment change from fall 16 to fall 17 of 2%. We continued from the 5-year enrollment change, which dropped from fall of 13 to fall of 17 of 4.2%. The breakout from student level for the entire state, the only student level that showed an increase was the high school students. It showed a 3.4% increase. The other levels, the undergraduate students, showed almost a 3% decrease, and the graduate students this year actually declined, which this was the first year that this has happened, but it was a small decline. It decreased almost 1 percentage point.
Is a high school student, that's dual enrollment students?
It includes high school concurrent and dual enrolled. This slide breaks it out by institution type. The only institution type that showed an increase for the fall of 2017 compared to the fall of 16 was our nursing schools. They showed a 3.8% increase, but you can tell by the slice in the pie that it was a very small increase in the number of students, as their total number of students is only 658. The other institution types all showed a decline for the one-year change from fall of 16 to fall of 17. Four-year universities declined 0.8%, two-year colleges 4%, and our private institutions declined 3.1% over fall of 16. Here's the 5-year fall trend. You can see in the chart the decline, the 1-year percent change decline for the 4-year public universities, the 2-year colleges, and the private independents. Then you can see the 5-year percent change. The 4-year institutions had the positive 2.4% increase, and the nursing schools showed an increase for both the 1-year change and the 5-year change. This chart breaks out by institution type and student level. You can see the middle two columns for the undergraduates. I kind of grayed out for you. As you can see, all of the red and the negative. It's obvious that continued drop in undergraduate enrollment is what's driving the enrollment decline. Enrollment by gender, by institution type. The gender ratio remains relatively unchanged for all institution types. In Arkansas, female students outnumber male students by almost 3 to 2. The nursing schools have seen a 4.6% increase in the number of male students since the fall 2013 fall term. Race ethnicity is a similar situation. There's just not been a whole lot of movement in the changes of percentages. Similar breakdowns for fall of 17 compared to fall of 16. Our age breakdown for fall of 17, 60.2% are in our traditional age bracket of 18 to 24. Provided some average age by institution type for you in the chart. As you can see, the undergraduates, I did not include our high school students in the averages, nor did I include our post-bac students in those averages. The 2-year college, as you can see, the average age of the undergraduates is older at 26.1 compared to the 4-year universities and the private institutions. And the graduate students, very comparable between the 4-year universities and the private and the independent schools. Here's another look at the age breakout. As you can see, the orange bars represent the traditional age students and how they take up the largest majority of the student body at all institution types. Enrollment trends by attendance status. As you can see, this one is similar to gender and race ethnicity. There's just not a lot of movement over the last 5 years as far as the percent breakdown. There was a slight 1.2% decrease in the number of full-time students enrolled over the last 5 years. I had to work hard to find something to even say about that one. So here I actually provided it out by the separate institution types. The 4-year universities had a 0.2% decline in the number of full-time students. The other institution types showed slight increases in the number of full-time students. Enrollment by geographic origin. We had 78.3% of our students enrolled in the fall semester that originated from Arkansas. And you can see the breakout from Texas, foreign countries, Missouri, obviously our neighboring states make up the majority of the rest of our student body. These next couple of slides outline the calculation of full-time equivalency, or FTE as we call it. The two calculations, there's a term FTE and an annual FTE, and they're different in how we calculate them. Term FTE is calculated by taking the undergraduate SSCH generated by that institution for that term divided by 15. You take the graduate SSCH generated by that institution for that term and divide it by 12. You add those two together, and that gives you a term FTE. UA Fayetteville, UA Little Rock, and UA Medical Sciences have different FTE criteria to calculate graduate FTE for their professional practice programs in law and nursing. This slide outlines how you calculate annual FTE. It's the same general methodology. The difference is your total SSCH is for the entire academic year, and your divisor is different. So your undergraduate SSCH is divided by 30, and your graduate SSCH is divided by 24. And you total those together for the annual FTE. And the same applies for the criteria for Fayetteville, Little Rock, and UAMS and their professional practice programs. Here's the fall FTE change. You can see the 0% line toward the top of the chart would represent no change in FTEs for the 1-year group or the 5-year change. And you can see that FTE follows headcount and enrollment very closely. You can see the orange, the 2-year colleges, and their drop follows similar percent change that the enrollment did. The same goes for the annual FTE change. This chart provides you an FTE by 4-year university and student type. It's a stacked bar graph. The numbers at the top of each bar represents an institution's total fall FTE, and the numbers provided in the orange portion of the bar represents the undergraduate FTE. So you can see that for each institution, except UMS, how important the undergraduate FTE is to an institution's enrollment. And here's the same chart for the 2-year college. You can see the total FTE at the top of each bar, and the blue at the bottom represents the high school FTE and the proportion that it is related to the undergraduate portion of the 2-year college FTE. As I mentioned earlier, the attachments that are mentioned in your board reports that have the specific institution data will be uploaded to the website Monday, hopefully by close of business, and we'll let you know when those are available. Are there any questions?
Any questions for Ms. Hazelwood? Thank you very much. Dr. Markham, you'll speak to the governor's scholarships, please.
Action items 9, 10, and 11 are all rules that are about to begin the promulgation process for 3 of our scholarship programs. So that's what you have in your packet. The only substantive change to the governor's scholarship, in the past, we've awarded at least 1 governor's distinguished scholarship to a student in each county. So in a county where one was not qualified to receive it because they didn't have the GPA or the ACT required, we would find the most qualified person. So often that ACT score was lower or their GPA was lower as well. So the change is that if we have to do that, so if we have to go to a county and look for a student that did not originally meet the criteria, they would still receive a scholarship, but it would be at the $5,000 level. So that was the old governor's scholarship award level. We no longer have the governor's scholarship. We only have governor's distinguished, but that will allow a student to still be awarded a scholarship just at a lower rate. Any questions about that one?
I've got a question. The $10,000 amount, I'm just curious, when was the last, how long has it been at that? When was the last time that was changed, you know?
It's been, we think that it's been, that was how it was established. at $10,000.
Originally, okay. Has there been any consideration, or are we advocating for, or thought about whether we should advocate for? I know, that amount has stayed static, and we saw in one of the reports you gave, we see the tuition increases over 5+ year period, 20, 25, 30+%. Is there a point where we need to advocate for it? Because we're really not adjusting this amount for the increases in tuition. Is that going to be, at what point does that impact the student's decision whether to stay in Arkansas or go? Because I presume that a lot of these students that are being awarded this scholarship
They have
are being courted by other colleges in other states. Are we going to become less competitive if we don't consider changing that amount?
Possible. I'm going to defer to my financial aid manager, Jonathan. So has there been any consideration?
Not that I have heard, and I will just say that it will probably be difficult with the amount of money that we're spending on the Governor's Distinguished Program. We've gone, I think last year for 2017 high school graduates, we had over 600 eligible students for that program, and we awarded all eligible students. They did not accept it. So to increase the award amount we would be decreasing.
We've had a cash flow issue with the scholarship as it sits. So we have been overspending our budget in order to offer the scholarship to all eligible students. We have not put a ceiling on the number that we award, and that number continues to grow every year.
I'm sorry, and the funding for that comes from where?
It comes from general revenue.
General revenue,
Mm-hmm.
right.
One of the things that I would mention in my experience, in my work experience, these students are overfunded for college anyway. A lot of them get money back.
Right.
Well, this is stackable with other things. So this is supposed to be, it's supposed to be decreased. It's not supposed to go past their cost of attendance.
Yeah, I was around when that program got started, and it was started because these students were all leaving, not all, many of them were leaving the state. SMU and Baylor and Texas were all in here recruiting these students, and so we started this program to try to keep these students in Arkansas, and it really has worked, but it has not been adjusted since it was started. Yes, I think that's right, yeah.
So do we know at what rate, is the rate changing in terms of number of students that are declining translation, they're going to another state? Do we know what that rate is, and is it changing? That might be an indicator of whether this.
Don't know that the rate is. I will say that of these, I think it was 613 offers we made for 2017 high school graduates. We had 75 not answer, so they didn't accept the award, and another 120 that declined the award. So close to 200 did not.
But we're not sure how that compares to years past, though. I mean, you may not know it off the top of your head.
I don't know it off the top of my head.
Is that something we should start monitoring and tracking?
Yeah, it would be.
As a percentage of those offered, how many declined?
I'd be interested in knowing what the trend is there. So, I mean, if it's not changing, I mean, we don't need to change the amount, but if more and more students leaving the state, that's.
Yeah, we can get that information pretty easy.
Do some analysis and send that out to the board.
Perfect, thank you.
Any other questions? I hear a motion to approve the Arkansas Governor Scholars Program.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? And we'll move on to the Teacher Opportunity Program, Dr. Markham.
The Teacher Opportunity Program was adjusted during the last legislative session. Excuse me. The only change was we placed priorities in certain subject matter fields for recipients of the award. So in the past, it was any teacher seeking additional licensure. So this is a current classroom teacher looking for an additional certification or another degree in the teaching field could apply for this award. They can still apply, but we are prioritizing those based on funds available for these that you see in front of you. So STEM fields, computer science, literacy and reading, special education, and pre-K. Those are our largest teaching shortage areas, so we wanted to prioritize the awards toward those subject matter areas, and that's the change.
What are the amounts, maximum and minimum, or?
They can be reimbursed for 6 hours per year, not to exceed $3,000.
Is there an established rate per hour, or?
No, it is tuition, mandatory fees, books, if they're required books, not to exceed $3,000 for 6 credit hours.
Okay.
And they can apply for it as many times as they want.
Any other questions? Do I hear a motion to approve the Teacher Opportunity Program? Second? All in favor? All opposed? Dr. Markham?
The next one is a little more lengthy. These are the rules for the Arkansas Workforce Challenge Scholarship. This is a new scholarship that was passed into law in the last legislative session. Scholarships are to be funded by excess lottery funds for students enrolled in associate degree or certificate programs for yet to be determined specific training in those 3 fields you see there: industry, healthcare, and information technology. It won't be going into the rules, but our agency is working with DWS to determine exactly which programs of study will be qualifying for this. These programs could be credit or non-credit. So we're looking at demand fields with short-term training components. So students in that program of study will end up with to be qualified to work in the occupation identified by DWS. The amount for this is $800 or the cost of the certificate program, including tuition fees, books, and equipment, whichever is less. So it's a maximum of $800 per term. Students can reapply if they've successfully completed in the past. They don't have automatic continuing eligibility. They would have to reapply to receive those funds again. That's it.
That's it.
Any questions on that? The rules basically mirror the language of the law. It was pretty specific in the legislation how this program had to run. So there's not a lot of room for interpretation in the rules that we are presenting.
I'm curious how much is funded annually.
We're still working on that. So I didn't believe that there would be any excess lottery funds. I didn't know that that existed. But we're working with BLR, DFNA, and the Lottery Commission to determine what definitions we're going to use for those excess lottery funds. One of the rules said we would only fund these if we had a minimum of $250,000 just for administrative burden. And their first projection was like $5 million that they thought we were going to have, which is way more than the legislative intent for the scholarship. So we're still landing on a number, and as soon as we know that, we're going to start pushing out those applications to schools so that we can get students applying. I think we're probably going to have a couple $1 million to work with.
A time frame, did you say? And did I miss?
We'll implement this in the fall, so students will be able to use our universal application. We'll have a list of schools that have eligible programs and what those programs are at that school, and they'll be able to go in and apply for this. And it'll be open continuously. Other scholarships have like a July 1st deadline, but the nature of these programs, you know, many of our students who are going into maybe a truck driving program, they don't know a year in advance that they're going to do it. They wake up on Tuesday and decide they're going to go to truck driving school. So we're trying to allow them a lot of flexibility. And as long as they can apply 30 days before their program starts, they'll be able to make application, as long as funds are available.
Any other questions? Do I hear a motion to approve the Arkansas Workforce
So moved.
Challenge? Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. I have a
Right.
question about the lottery scholarship. I know that changes periodically and how that's dispersed. Where do we stand right now on that? Do you know?
On the amount,
Right, how much students get and how that's structured.
I'll let Jonathan answer that question.
For 4-year schools, they get $1,000 for their freshman year, split into $500 per semester. $4,000 for their sophomore, $4,000 for their junior year, and $5,000 for their senior year. For a 2-year school, they get $1,000 the first year and $3,000 for the second year. And I'll add, for the 4-year school, their final semester that they graduate, they still have to be in a full-time load to get their $2,500, but if they're in less and they finish their degree, we can award them a prorated amount. So that does change it a little bit.
Okay, thank you.
There's an upcoming fiscal session.
Mm-hmm.
And tell me where will you be?
We've actually already had our budget hearings. So the institutions of higher education as well as the department have already gone through our budget process.
Anything else for Dr. Markham? Thank you very much. And we'll turn it now to Mr. Revels.
Yes, Madam Chair.
Report of the Finance Committee. Are you ready?
I am ready.
Are you sure?
No, but I'll do my best. The Finance Committee would like to recommend the approval of agenda item number 12 and number 13 to the full board.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. And Dr. F.
Madam Chair, the Academic Committee has reviewed items 8, 25, and 26, and we recommend the approval of agenda items 15 through 19.
Do I hear a second? Second. All in favor? Are there any? There are no questions. We've already done that. And all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? And it's time to move on to any comments from the floor from the presidents and chancellors, or do we have anyone who wishes to address this board in this august body? Today, announcements. The next quarterly meeting will be held April 20th in this building. And if there's no other business.
Madam Chair, may I?
Yes.
I would like to publicly thank the chair for her leadership, excellent leadership during this past year. It's going to be a little difficult for me to stand up in those high heels, but I will do my best, and we certainly appreciate the work that you have done.
I wear sensible shoes, by the way. Thank you very much. All right, and I too want to issue a thank you to the institutions that have hosted us this past year. We appreciate all the efforts that you went to, and it was wonderful being in your communities. But we will be glad to be back here in Central Arkansas in April. And do I hear a motion to adjourn? You won't do it. Let's go. Second? Let's go.
Second.
All right.